Okay. Well, looks like it's 7 p.m. everyone, and welcome everyone. My name is Grace Suba, and it is a pleasure to welcome you to this interactive webinar called Sken, Mino-Bimaadziwin, Understanding Wellness in Indigenous Wisdom Traditions for Caregivers. This webinar is hosted by the Registered Nurses Association of Ontario in partnership with Anishinaabe-Aski Nation, the Chiefs of Ontario, and the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health, and the Canadian Indigenous Nurses Association. We recognize that our work and the work of our members take place on traditional Indigenous territories across Ontario. And so I would like to be able to proceed with our land acknowledgement. We wish to acknowledge that the office of the RNAO is located on the traditional Indigenous territory of the Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and most recently, the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. We also recognize that the participants on today's webinar are located in other traditional lands across Ontario. Today, this meeting is still the home to many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this territory. By personally making a land acknowledgement, you are taking part in an act of reconciliation, honoring the land and the Indigenous heritage, which dates back over 10,000 years. I would now like to introduce you to Ganasaha Kevin Deer, who will be doing a traditional opening. And he is a faith keeper of the Mohawk Trail Longhouse and Gahondog and has been there for 30 years. During this time, he has also been a Mohawk immersion school teacher, vice principal, and presently the vice president of the academic at First Nations Technical Institute. As a citizen of his own nation and government, he has been deeply involved in many meetings, events, and demonstrations, in an effort to always try to raise the understanding of Indigenous knowledge and teaching in order to create more peace, harmony, and balance for all people. So please welcome Ganasaha Kevin Deer.
Can you see that? Did that come up on share screen?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
So this painting that was done by another faith keeper, his name is Lyons. So I'm going to speak in my own language first and foremost, and what I will be doing is describing what is depicted here. So nagadiwa iwa wasudade zidizu zawadahuk sadadu nahodo yaderiwate jadu agwegu watkunu waradu. Yatsununya zisego agwe yugo da garide and wadus ziniji and one tunyu. None of the shadorate dana on the water or got the Nigeria zituniot. Connect wadu atste on the what's got dana tunue. The lady judaso zihum zade, signore ne omunizarade. Zin hoda dona duka yetinistan huza. Say you got go haja gweguts in a hoda you watch touch at the winizarage. Yatedios terista zinohodo. Toga the one yatatus, wada se adowanigir and a garnigio. Toga you gonna walk to me, Sagunya dego you guine on sua. Kahet gunu guadi tunua the watania gwegunene asani good the nose and nana jun hekmo. Karhagunu guadi tunua the didakanuje, a gwegunene guda the winio. Tanu yoskuts ziniti guard hahere, a gwego ogre sua danu garunda sua. Enaga tunua gudije, a gwegune ozitan gua. Nona ando was and a guhnu and a zium zade, a gwego nua zinuhodo enago garunyu. Nazinigane gainiga wadage, zinigane yeti sotogora di veros. Unizarades Unizares, Nanasuguatia Jukineka Garakwa. Noni Uguandas, Asutana Nuguadi, Nana Yukisota, Sotaneka Garakwa. Tanizinizi stuck Corunio. You got the Rasuya di Sagu Yaguaya, Dokarani Gagaraga, you got the under on the Jared Siturizi Wizard. Honor Zinihadi Nana Gayeri New Bedege. Nani Nioni Zinihadi Yakan de Hunas honor, Nana the one Duka, Nana Yukisota Gan Ogua. Ono ne izinut karuhiadi zinua tanakta guani no hoda dona dukwa nene sa oyera ga sostan sara goa ojega ne huniru nene taja dizu ono ne da gat go dokara ni wanage zinigane kanura dutsara ekadinena yoktu ne zawa nigura wad ono yugoda sudara no hoda kariwahre one sudade ekadina yoktu ne zawa nigura. So at this time, I'd like to acknowledge and to welcome each and every one of you that are here at this time. All of you that are in the health profession, the nurses, you are taking on now that role of responsibility, that what we say almost like the medicine people in old time. because you put your life out there, regardless that we're in COVID, and you still, do your work and giving love, kindness, and help to all these people that need your support. So all of you helpers that are out there, we acknowledge you of all this great work that you are doing. So let us have this in our minds. All of us come from families, grandparents, mother, father, brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews. We acknowledge all of those people in our lives that make this life so beautiful. Then when we ask ourselves and we say, well, why is that? So now we look to the earth that we refer to as our mother. A little baby comes into the world, it needs its mother's breast. We are at the breast of our bosom, our mother earth, and everything that we need, that nourishment comes then in the form of the fresh water, in the medicines, in our life supporters, the corn, the beans, the squash, the animals, the insects, the flowers. Then we look to all of those trees and then those birds. And then when we look up, we look to the four winds, the four seasons, four colors. We acknowledge our grandfather, the thunder beings who bring those waters so that all of our crops will grow. We acknowledge our elder brother, the sun, that sets the tone about how we're supposed to be as men. Not too cold, not too hot, but then just right. At nighttime, we acknowledge our grandmother, the moon, who determines when we hold ceremonies, when we plant, the time of month of women. All of that power that she still continues to this day. To the star stories, the star people, the star knowledge. When you look up on a beautiful night and you see how beautiful that is, we acknowledge and we give thanks. Now we go to the messengers of the Great Spirit, the ones who come to us in our dreams that help us to understand about the past, the present, the future. All of our loved ones now that have gone into the ancestral realm and to those four beings that are in the four corners on that picture, that they help, they intervene when we're traveling, that we'll get there safe and that we will return home. And then now to the Great Spirit, the Creator, we acknowledge and we give thanks. So with that, we offer all of that. And we say that now that we're here this evening, that whatever we're going to be discussed, that everyone will be gathering in good mind, good health, good spirit, because we all have this opportunity to open two gifts, which was our eyes. And here we are today to celebrate another beautiful day in this great creation, these gifts that we receive each day. So this is the Thanksgiving address. This is what we do before we start anything, but because it helps us then to understand who are we, where do we come from, what we're supposed to do while we're here, and what happens to us when we leave this place and go back home. So Nyaokoa, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kevin, for that beautiful Thanksgiving opening. Miigwech. And now for the outline of today's webinar. So as you have seen in your registration, and what we're going to be discussing today is 4 particular objectives. One, we're going to share the importance of language and what your language says about being well. 2, to discuss your culture and how it helps maintain being well. 3, discuss the vision of a health community and healthy peoples. And then finally 4, discuss the importance of the caregiver role and how they're very much appreciated and valued by the communities. So before we get into our respective concurrent sessions, just want to keep a few things in mind. First, we kindly ask for all participants to keep their microphones and cameras off during your concurrent sessions. And you will have ample opportunity to ask your questions and share your comments in the chat box. You'll have about 15 minutes at the end of each concurrent session, as well as 40 minutes at the end of this webinar during the plenary session for Q&A. Just to let you know, we will also be recording these sessions, and so they will be archived and posted on the RNO website for those individuals who wish to be able to view these recordings later on. And that will be sent as a link by Tanya, who is the project coordinator, to all of the participants along with the evaluation survey. And for today's concurrent session, you'll have to log into a different account. So you will have also received these Zoom links in your confirmation email, but Tanya will also type it in the chat box as well, so that you're able to link from there as well. So just wanted to, it is my pleasure to introduce to you today's moderator, who is Mino-Bimaadziwin. And Marilee is the CEO of the Canadian Indigenous Nurses Association and has been a vital part of the planning committee. And before I turn it over to Marilee, I would like to invite Dr. Doris Greenspan, CEO of RNEO, to bring some greetings.
Miigwech, Grace, and to my colleague Marilee, and to Tanya, and to my guru, Maykat, for the fantastic planning on this. A special miigwech to Canaso Home, Kevin Deere, for the beautiful blessings that you brought to us. And on behalf of the Board of Directors of RNAO and the entire staff, as well as the 213 participants and growing every second. We are so grateful. We are so grateful to be a guest with you and to be here to learn from you and to take those learnings forward. Often I say, without being and having any expertise on your learnings, often I say that what's happening with COVID is because Mother Earth simply had it. Mother Earth is screaming to take better care of her. And I hope that within the teachings, can ask Kevin Deere, you can tell us a bit about how we can appease Mother Earth, not just to get rid of COVID, but actually to have a better togetherness, better harmony in this place where we live now. Either whether it is here or it is in other parts of this beautiful world. I think we need to bring more harmony. So miigwech, and back to you, Grace. Thank you.
Thank you, Doris. Now it's my pleasure to introduce to you the main moderator for today's plenary session, Mino-Bimaadziwin from SINA.
Thank you very much, Grace. Thank you, Doris, and thank you for this opportunity to bring everyone here together this evening. I wish to acknowledge the land on which I'm currently on. I am on the unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people of the Ottawa region. I am originally from Fort William First Nation near Thunder Bay, Ontario. I welcome everybody here this evening, and I look forward to your engagement and participation tonight. Nyawagoha Ganaso, for your traditional opening, and to thank you for everyone for joining today's webinar. Kevin is one of 4 of our special guest speakers this evening. At this time, I'd like to briefly introduce you to the 3 other special guest speakers. First, Teresa is originally the Big Grassy and Shoal Lake number 40. Teresa was married to her late husband, Josiah. Teresa is a mother to 5, grandmother to 21, and great-grandmother to 14. Teresa graduated from the SSW program in Thunder Bay at the age of 61 and is now engaged in different social fields as a consultant for different First Nations. Teresa is an elder for many forums and organizations in the Nan Territory. Chimigwech, Elder Fiddler, Sky. Mary Deliri. Mary is Algonquin Anishinaabe, originating from the First Nation community of the Kitigan-Zibi in Quebec. Mary, a lifelong dedication to the pursuit of the Indigenous knowledge and practices grounded and nurtured through the Madaewin, Way of the Heart. Mary serves in a leadership role within the Thunderbird Partnership Foundation, providing expertise in Indigenous knowledge, exchange translation, and holds the position of training and education manager. Next, Perry McLeod Shabagijik of the Crane Clan is an Ojibwe Anishinaabe from the Nipissing First Nation. He is the manager of cultural services for the Ninjasinaanik Child and Family Services. He is an elder, helper, resource person for our Saxon, Shawanaga, Magnetawan, Henvey Inlet, Dokis, Wanapate First Nations. In this role, he has been assisting children and families and First Nation staff in the area of traditional medicine, teachings, ceremonies, and workshops. To each of our elders, I thank you, and I look forward to working with you this evening. I would now like to invite all of the attendees that you have pre-registered for a concurrent session to now go to the session that you have been provided a link for. If you get disconnected, use the link that was originally provided to you in your confirmation email, and we'll do our best to help you out. We kindly ask the participants to expect a small delay as we transition from this main platform to your concurrent session. At 8:20, we will resume back into this main plenary room for the closing and for some question and discussion amongst each of us. I wish you luck in your concurrent sessions. We'll see you at 8:20.